The global economy in 2024 resembles a high-wire act. There are various performers, each with their own balancing poles, trying not to step on each other's toes. The audience watches with bated breath, both excited and terrified. We see a mix of soaring ambition and the ever-present potential for a misstep. The post-pandemic world is grappling with inflation, supply chain disruptions, and geopolitical uncertainties. The International Monetary Fund forecasts global growth to slow down in 2024. This is partly due to the war in Ukraine and its ripple effects on energy and food prices. The interconnectedness of the global economy means that shocks in one part are felt around the world. The United States, still a dominant economic force, faces its own set of challenges. Its economic growth is projected to be modest. The Federal Reserve's fight against inflation, through interest rate hikes, has raised concerns about a potential recession. Meanwhile, China's economic slowdown adds another layer of complexity to the global scenario. The US dollar has long reigned supreme as the world's reserve currency. This gives the United States considerable economic and geopolitical leverage. However, this dominance is being challenged. The BRICS nations, Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa, are increasingly asserting their presence on the world stage. They are exploring alternatives to the dollar for international trade and financial transactions. This shift away from the dollar, if it gains momentum, could have significant implications. It could weaken the dollar's value, leading to higher inflation in the US. American consumers would feel the pinch as imported goods become more expensive. Furthermore, the US might find it harder and more costly to finance its large budget deficits. The motives behind this potential shift are complex. Some BRICS nations, like China and Russia, see it as a way to reduce their dependence on the US-led financial system. They chafe at the influence the US wields through the dollar. Others, like India and Brazil, may be seeking to diversify their risks and promote their own currencies in global trade. The Federal Reserve faces a difficult balancing act. Its aggressive interest rate hikes aimed at curbing inflation have slowed the economy. There are now concerns about a potential recession. The Fed is considering rate cuts to stimulate economic activity. However, this could reignite inflation, putting them back to square one. The Fed's decisions have global ramifications. Emerging markets are particularly vulnerable to changes in US monetary policy. Rising interest rates in the US can lead to capital flight from these economies. This puts pressure on their currencies and makes it harder for them to service their debts. The Fed's dilemma highlights the delicate interplay between inflation, interest rates, and economic growth. There are no easy answers, and any policy decision comes with its own set of risks and trade-offs. The coming months will be crucial in determining whether the Fed can engineer a soft landing for the US economy. Section 4. Tremors in the financial system, bank failures and inflationary pressures. The US financial system experienced tremors in early 2023 with the collapse of Silicon Valley Bank and Signature Bank. These failures, while contained, exposed vulnerabilities in the banking sector. Rising interest rates, coupled with a decline in the value of some assets held by banks, raised concerns about the stability of other financial institutions. Inflation, though cooling down from its peak in 2022, remains a concern. The cost of living continues to rise, albeit at a slower pace. Supply chain bottlenecks persist in certain sectors, and the war in Ukraine continues to impact energy and food prices. The Federal Reserve's preferred measure of inflation, the Personal Consumption Expenditures Price Index, remains above the Fed's target of 2%. This suggests that the fight against inflation is far from over, and that the Fed may need to keep interest rates higher for longer than some market participants anticipate. Section 5. India's Ascent, a new powerhouse in the global economy. India is a bright spot in the global economic landscape. With its large population, youthful demographics, and growing middle class, India is poised for robust economic growth in the coming years. The IMF projects India to be the fastest-growing major economy in the world in 2024. India's rise has significant implications for the global balance of power. As its economy expands, India's influence on the world stage will grow. It is already a key player in international forums like the G20 and the BRICS grouping. India's success will depend on its ability to address key challenges. These include improving infrastructure, boosting manufacturing, and creating more jobs for its young and growing workforce. If India can successfully navigate these challenges, it has the potential to become a major engine of global economic growth in the 21st century. Section 6. The Dragon's Shadow, China's Ambitions and Taiwan's Fate. China's economic and military rise has significantly altered the geopolitical landscape, particularly in the Asia-Pacific region. China's assertive foreign policy, especially its claims over Taiwan, has raised tensions with the United States and its allies. The situation in the Taiwan Strait remains a potential flashpoint in the region. China views Taiwan as a breakaway province that must be reunified with the mainland, by force, if necessary. The US, while officially adhering to the One China policy, has committed to providing Taiwan with the means to defend itself. The stakes are high for all parties involved. A conflict over Taiwan would have devastating consequences for the region and the global economy. It is in everyone's interest to find a peaceful resolution to the Taiwan issue. However, the path to a resolution remains elusive, and the risk of miscalculation is a constant threat.